Whistleblower from Facebook got in front of senators and put it all out there. So if you haven't been following along with this story, there was a 60 Minutes story with Frances Haugen, who used to work at Facebook. And before she left, she made copies of internal memos and correspondence, basically just saying that Facebook is negligent when it comes to preventing violence and the spreading of hate and misinformation online. And now she's taken the step to Congress, and she was there in front of a Senate subcommittee and basically equating Facebook to big tobacco.
Yesterday, we saw Facebook get taken off the internet. I don't know why it went down, but I know that for more than 5 hours, Facebook wasn't used to deepen divides, destabilize democracies, and make young girls and women feel bad about their bodies. When we realized big tobacco was hiding the harms it caused, the government took action. When we figured out cars were safer with seatbelts, the government took action. And when our government learned that opioids were taking lives, the government took action. I implore you to do the same here. Today, Facebook shapes our perception of the world by choosing the information we see. Even those who don't use Facebook are impacted by the majority who do. A company with such frightening influence over so many people, over their deepest thoughts, feelings, and behavior, needs real oversight.
Like, you can't dismiss it. When you see the power that people want to dismiss social media, it's just Facebook, it's just Instagram. But no, these entities do hold a lot of power, and people don't want to stop and analyze. They just want to react. We have fewer and fewer critical thinkers, and social media has created and enabled more reactors.
I watched a lot of this, believe it or not, yesterday. A, Congress people don't know how to edit themselves. Secondly, they're not PPM friendly.
No.
And the second part is, I didn't see anything that was shocking yesterday. I mean, maybe it was shocking that Facebook does have the ability to edit and they have chosen not to. But how many times have we talked about this on this show right here? After watching Social Dilemma, we were talking about this a lot, in that you are seeing the information that Facebook and the algorithms want you to see to keep you on their app and on their website for as long as they can. And that is giving you a very skewed view on life. And it is also increasing and specifically almost endorsing the hate and things that you see.
So when it comes to, like, yes, a lot of this stuff that she's saying is, I think people should know, especially after watching The Social Dilemma. But the deal is here, you have an insider from Facebook with evidence. We have the receipts now proving what Facebook is doing. So that's where I feel like now we can finally have government regulation. Cassie, who is our social media director among many of her titles, and you're probably on social media more than all of us.
Yeah, let me break it down for you so you guys really understand what we're talking about here in terms of takeaways. So it's Facebook's, like, how Facebook works. It spreads misinformation, and they know this. They actively know that it's promoting these types of activities. In just a few days, followers, like, they created a profile and they followed some big political figures. I'm not going to get into left or right here, but basically it took a week for that same account to get radical organization suggestions and conspiracy theory pages. They actively know that there is misinformation and that it is reaching people who are following specific political figures, and they are only able to remove 3 to 5% of hate speech, and that's less than 1% of the content that's considered violent or inciting to violence. So there is violent content out there that they know about that they're not removing, and that is being suggested to users. They also misled the public about negative effects of Facebook and Instagram on children and teens, especially young girls. So Zuckerberg, back in March, I think, when he was talking to Congress, he was asked if he thinks Facebook harms children. He says, I don't believe so, but internal documents say differently, that 13% of teen girls on Insta think the platform makes thoughts of, and trigger warning here, suicide and self-injury worse. 17% say that it makes eating issues like anorexia worse. So Facebook and Instagram are pushing these things on young girls, and yet Facebook publicly is saying, no, we don't think these platforms are harmful, but their documents are. And Facebook knows its platforms enable human exploitation like domestic servitude and domestic slavery. So this is human trafficking. They know that is happening on their platforms, and they have the documents citing it, saying that this happens, and they're unable to stop it. So it's not
unable to stop it, or
unwilling, not trying,
just not stopping it.
I can't put words in Facebook's mouth, so let me retract and say I don't know if it's unable or unwilling, but they know that it happens and nothing really is being done about it. So let me put it that way. So it's not just like, oh, parents, you need to make sure your little girls don't get their feelings hurt when they're on Instagram and they see perfect lives. Like, we're talking about human trafficking. We're talking about suicide, injury, eating disorders, self-harm. We're talking about inciting to violence. We're talking about misinformation spreading and being recommended to people who are following actual political figures that are verified. And it's not these political figures pushing it. It's being recommended based on who they're following. So this is highly problematic when you talk about the spread of misinformation. This isn't just about seeing someone's Insta perfect life and teaching someone, Instagram is fake and reality is different. This is a huge, huge issue, and I would be shocked if there weren't huge regulations placed on Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp because of it.
There needs to be, and I don't view it as censorship. Like she said in front of Congress what they did with big tobacco, what they did with car safety. Like this is a safety issue for the general public.
The Bert Show.